Welcome back, everyone. We are live, and we are live a little bit sooner than I said we would be. I keep doing that. I keep scheduling times, and these time zones are just and I've just got so much going on. So I'm sorry. I apologize for the time problems here, but I'm excited I have a guest on today. His name is Travis, and he has an incredible testimony. And he is really excited to come on today and talk about his journey. We spoke, I don't know too much about his story because I like to kind of save that for when we get here on this platform so it can all just be organic. But what I do know is that he is a survivor of some pretty gnarly burns. So I'm really looking forward to speaking with him today and kind of exchanging war stories, because I too have had my own personal experience in the burn unit. He had mentioned he was in the burn unit for a couple of weeks. I was in the burn unit for like a month after my car caught on fire while I was in it. Yes. So I'm really looking forward to kind of going back and forth with him. We're going to talk to him about how he got started on opioids. Where did that all begin? What does it look like now? I think he had mentioned he was either interested in or considering a Sublocade shot. I'm not really sure. Either way, we're going to get into it. So, I hope everybody's having a great day today. And note to self, I've always gone to the grocery store and been like hungry, right? Like I've always been hungry, and that's not a good thing to do. Today was the exact opposite. Today it was just like it was a hard to grocery shop. Everything that I was seeing was like, bleh. So yeah, you can't win them all, right? Not quite sure why I went into that. Okay, here's Travis. Travis, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm good. My name's Travis Eroh, and I'm glad to be on here. I started a TikTok about the opioid epidemic and how it affected my life and basically destroyed it. And now today, ironically, I have 20 months clean today. So great day to do this. I don't really count the days. I'm not in a 12-step program. I rely on the love of my family and a few friends and the guy upstairs, to get me through each day. So, yeah, I'm
I
blessed.
love that. You have great energy. I'm so honored to have you on today. Super
Thank
gnarly.
you.
How long have you been doing your TikToks? How long have you been on that, doing that?
Probably close to a year now. And basically the whole reason for me doing that is I see so many kids are passing away from opiates today. I'm friends with many parents on TikTok that have lost a son or daughter to this, or even a mother or father. And, it's sad. This tragedy is ongoing, and it's just getting worse and worse. I don't, I have a feeling I know why I was spared, and I think it was to share my story and give some people that are struggling some hope, and some people that have never got introduced to any of this lifestyle or the fake pills or any of the stuff that's out there killing people. Maybe this can be a deterrent for these kids to know that if they ever pick this stuff up, it might be the last day they're breathing.
I love that. Yep. Definitely, your story will definitely help somebody for sure. So let's get into it. So did you ever? So for me personally, I did have some trauma and stuff that I was running from. Some people their addiction just starts with they have no trauma. They're prescribed a simple prescription of Vicodin, and then their body starts building a tolerance, and they need more and more and more, and then they have an addiction. Right. So for
Right.
me, when I found this Vicodin, I was already dealing with so much trauma. It was literally like the miracle drug. So for you, were you dealing with anything before you were introduced to Vicodin, or what were you introduced with first? And let's get into that.
Okay, so basically for me, I was blown up in a gas explosion. It was a horrific day. They hit a gas line with a backhoe at Gross Towers, where my great uncle lived. And we were taking him an air conditioner that day, me and my dad. And as we walked in the building, they hit a gas line with the backhoe, and the whole building blew up. I was buried alive, burning. My dad got blown out of the glass doors.
Oh shit.
And basically, came back in and unburied me and risked his own life to save mine. And then he ran back in and got my great uncle out. But I say that to get to the point that I ended up in the hospital for probably about a month, maybe a little more, a little less, and basically was instant addict. As soon as they put that morphine in me and all the pain seemed to somewhat subside or go away, I knew that like something inside me loved to feel that way. The problem was there was no deterrent for it back then. When I got out of the hospital, I was already hooked on opiates, and nobody warned me. Nobody explained to me that this stuff was addictive. Remember, this was back in 1994 when Big Pharma was doing every single thing they could to get everybody hooked on this shit.
So what was it? What was it? Was it Oxycontin? Was it when they were doing the Oxycontin? 94.
Well, you know that it's actually started off with morphine in the hospital, in the burn unit. And basically, it spiraled from there. As soon as I got out of the hospital, I was at my parents' with a home care nurse. And I basically started, they put me on Percocets, Oxys, all that stuff. And then once I was good and well addicted, they cut me off. And somebody introduced me to heroin because I was super sick. And I was going through the withdrawals, the shits, the pains, the back pain, the leg pain. And anybody that feels like that, if there's an instant thing that will take it away, most of us will do it. Right. I didn't even know I was addicted yet. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I woke up and felt like I needed something to just get through the day or get up out of bed. And I struggled for 30 years after that.
So let's get into your, I want to kind of get into your injury just a little bit, because I kind of want to see what exactly it was that they sent you home with. What were we kind of looking at? I don't mean to be intrusive. I'm just gaining knowledge is all I'm trying to do.
That's good. I'm like an open book. I want people to hear this stuff.
So how long? Okay. I saw the picture. I wanted to put that picture on your thumbnail, but it looked funky. I couldn't do both of them. And so I really just wanted that.
Okay.
But your burns, where you said you were burned head to toe, did you have to do any skin grafts or anything like that?
I had some skin grafting. I had, basically the explosion blew my face apart like a melon. And I had hundreds of stitches in my face to put me back together. And the burns were basically from head to toe. The only part of me that wasn't burnt, I had jean shorts on, and for some reason the shorts kind of protected my skin underneath, but my legs, my chest, my back, my face, I was all burned.
That's so wild.
And it was first, second, and third degree burns. Like nobody knows the pain of that unless they go through it. And it was traumatic. It was like being in hell.
Yeah, that's so wild, because when my car caught fire while I was inside of it, fire shot out of my pedals, and I was wearing some Victoria's Secret, but it was just bizarre because I don't really remember a lot of what happened. I really don't. I kind of went into shock, but what I do know is fire shot out of my pedals. But the burns I got was on my right arm. My right arm is fully burned. I've got burns on my ass, on my right cheek. But it did not burn. It did not burn my legs. And what's so weird is that the fire shot out of my pedals. So that's, and there is no pain. There is no pain like compared to burns. Burns are no freaking joke. I got fortunate enough that I didn't have to, I did not have to have a skin graft. They didn't know that at first. I had to stay there for a little bit it was like a day or two for them to realize like, hey, I think they said, you're a healer. You are a healer. And it seems like you are too. You healed up very nicely.
Yeah, wow. I'm super grateful for that.
Okay. So you were in the burn unit for how long?
I'd say approximately a month, because they used to put me in like the sterile dip tank of water, and basically, they would peel burn skin off with like tweezers and stuff, and then scrub it with these pads to make the white blood cells come to the surface. And basically, it made me grow back like baby skin, and that's probably why I healed so well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
I used when
really,
they would
guys,
try
like
to
I'm super lucky.
when they would try to do that, so they would scrub the eschar. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I don't know about you, but they would give me a shot of Dilaudid in my vein before they would pin me down and do that. Like they had to get full grown men to come pin me down because I wasn't having it. That was horrendous,
Yeah.
horrendous. But
Oh,
they
me
would
too. Me too. Go
but they
ahead.
would they would give the Dilaudid, and I will never forget how relaxing and how great that felt. But it really didn't. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it really didn't touch what I was dealing with. You know, the pain that I was going through. If anything, it may have messed me up a little bit to where I could kind of relax and take the scrubbing of the eschar. You know. So
Right.
so how long
Right.
did you say you were in the? Did you tell me that already? I'm sorry if you did.
About a month I was in there, and I went
Okay.
through all those procedures. And then when I got out, I had a home care nurse took care of me for probably a month or two afterward also.
Okay. And what did they send you home with? What kind of prescriptions did you go home with?
So if I remember correctly, it's a long time ago, but I know there was Percocets and I believe Oxys involved. Um, you know, and there was a lot of different type of pills out back then, like Loracet, Loratab, Tylox, all that crap back then. And basically, as this started to spiral out of control, like I started trying to get my hands on those pills outside of the hospital. And once I got a little better and the scabs started to go away and I started to heal, basically, they did cut me off of the medications. And,
Mhm.
my whole family started seeing a difference immediately. The weird acting weird, to falling asleep and nodding and just or
Mhm.
these sporadic things of energy where you clean the whole house, like just
Mhm.
weird stuff. And they knew.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long so they prescribed you all of these pain pills, and they didn't educate you on any of it. They just prescribed them to you. They sent you home with them. And then they didn't say, "Hey,
Yes.
this is how we're going to slowly get you off. Like this is how we're going to exit. We're going to create an exit plan for you off this, addicting drug." So none of that happened. They just said, "You're done." Is that
Right, because there was none of that back then, and if it was, it was just starting. But I believe the medical professionals, instead of trying to get people off opiates, they were trying to get us all
they
on them.
were? Yeah, they were. Are
Yeah,
you familiar
absolutely.
with Okay, yeah, you're familiar with the whole Purdue Pharma Sackler family, Oxycontin
Yeah,
pushing. Yeah. I
yeah.
wasn't sure if you
Even the
were.
little round dolls that were like the pills, the oxy
Can you
dolls, and all
believe
that
that
shit they
shit?
made.
Oh my god, it pisses
Yeah,
me off.
man.
Okay.
All that
Yeah,
stuff. Well, let
unbelievable.
me just say this. My first rehab, they sent me to Florida where all the mom and pop doctor shops were opening and selling pills right off the counter.
Been
And
there.
I thought I was in heaven. That was the first rehab they sent me, and I didn't know, but they sent me to Florida to a recovery center called Boca House. And basically, you know, I didn't last long there. I went right back to what I was
You
doing.
said it
And,
was Boca
you
House,
know,
like the watershed?
well, it was a nice little halfway house with a nice, beautiful pool and stuff. And, you know, like I said, I didn't last long. I was just in the beginning stages of my addiction, and everything started to go downhill.
So a lot of people don't understand, and that's what we're trying to do is shine light on it, is that a lot of people, there are quite a few people that like I just mentioned, their addiction started in the doctor's office. Okay. And people
Yeah.
end up getting hooked. People turn to the streets because their doctor cuts them off. And when you are in a fight or flight state, you're not
Right.
making rational decisions. You'll do whatever it takes to get out of that misery. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how long you're going to feel like shit. You don't know how long you're going to detox. So what do? You run to the streets and you find heroin, because heroin's a lot. It's a
Right.
lot cheaper. You'll feel better quickly. people need to understand these things, you know. I mean, they don't need to, but I'm definitely going to be shining a light on it for sure, because
Right.
there are just way too many fighting this battle. So, okay, so you were prescribed a bunch of pain pills. They cut you off. They cut you off. You went to a sober house. It didn't take.
Right.
So what happened after that? So at this point, you're just trying to find medication. You're your own supplier. You're finding it on the streets. Am I correct?
Basically, yes. Yes.
Did they give
And
him
you
a
know,
fentanyl
uh,
lollipop? We have a question. Did they give him a fentanyl
yes.
lollipop they give to little kid burn victims? I'm familiar with those
Um,
lollipops.
I'm familiar with them, and I've ate plenty of them. However, they didn't come from the doctor. Just being honest.
Same.
You know, keeping it real, you know. So,
Yeah, we've had them, but they didn't
yeah,
come from our doctor. That's
right,
funny. Okay,
right.
sorry.
And you know what a lot of people don't understand is too, the heroin and all this stuff that, it was much safer back in the day. There's nothing but poison on the streets now.
Oh, I know.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's devastating. None of these kids that are experimenting are expecting to die when
Yeah.
the next morning. Like, they're finding them everywhere, passed away. And like, I don't know, it hits me in the heart when I talk about that, because I shouldn't be here. The amount of overdoses that I've survived is just ridiculous. And then I wonder why some of these poor kids don't even get one chance.
Well,
So,
yeah, everybody, because that's, yeah, your story is going to help that next person, right? Your story is going to help that next person. And I appreciate you coming on here and speaking your truth. And maybe more, it'll encourage more to do the same, right? So, okay, so you are now seeking, your own stuff on the streets. This is where we're at right now. And so
yeah.
what happened next? What I kind of just want to
Um,
go through the range of like I want to go through it and see how you got to where you are today, and if you are on the
right.
Suboxone and what that looks like. So let's back it up and see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I would say I went about the next 10 years of my life in and out of programs, in and out of programs, in and out of prison. I spent 20 years of my life in and out of jails on the installment plan. It was basically in for a year, out for a month or two, back in for a year and a half, get out. And like, then I don't get sent to a program and then be body brokered off to some other program. So somebody could put money in their pocket from these recovery centers, and they're actually selling human beings to other facilities. And a lot of this stuff people really don't know. People don't see what goes on behind the scenes. Like, all these recovery centers and stuff are not all geared to help us. A lot of them, and I would say most of them, are geared to keep us stuck where we're at and stuck in the system and stuck on the medications that we've been on, and they pushed on us from such a young age. I mean, I've been on Seroquel, gabapentin, Suboxone, you name it. Like, they've guinea pigged me on it, and I'm at the point in my life where I'm trying to get off all of it. I did just go on the shot 5 months ago to come off the Suboxone, and the one reason I did that was because it destroyed every single one of my teeth.
Mm.
I used to be so embarrassed about this stuff. I didn't want to share my story with people because my pride and ego wouldn't allow it. I don't care anymore, because I feel like something inside, if there's one kid out there that gets a little bit of help or hope from my story, that's all I really care about. I have a passion for this. There's so many people out there struggling, and I remember that feeling of walking around the streets, homeless, freezing cold, frostbite on my fingers and toes, and as long as I got the next one and could put it in my veins, I was okay. I
Yeah.
felt all right for those moments, like numbed
Yeah.
out of my mind. And yeah,
Yes.
so
I want to touch on the rehab thing. So are you referring to rehab? Like, are you referring to rehabilitation centers? Or are you referring to like all of it? Really? I mean,
I mean, basically all of it, really.
Right. So go ahead.
There's a lot that I've seen that I may not talk about on here because I have a book coming out probably within the next year, my autobiography.
Oh,
But you know, it just went on for years and years and years, and I couldn't figure out what it was that was making me continue to screw my life up. And I've realized now a lot of the guilt and shame from that first use and that first time and all the trauma from my past and all the bullshit I've been through, I could never get over that feeling like shit about the things that I did. And the guilt and shame eats you up. Sometimes I felt like I was all by myself, even in my family's house, because of the shit that I did and the way I felt about me. And it was always the answer. When you feel like that inside and you have addiction issues, our brains tell us that, well, go get the next one, and I'll go on automatic pilot, and I go do it, and I lie to myself, and I tell myself it's not going to be the same as last time. I'm just going to do it once or twice, but I buy 5 bundles. So like that makes no sense, but in our brain, it makes perfect sense because we don't want to go back to the hell that we just came from. But I just don't, I have clarity today. I've got to a point in my life where like I finally learned how to start loving myself a little bit more and a little bit more each day. And the more I seem to try to help other people and give a little bit of myself to others, it seems like my life just gets a little bit better.
No, Travis, I love it. Yeah. You're making me emotional over here. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. I love all of that. All of that resonates with me. As far as the rehab facilities, I kind of want to get into that just a little bit. I went to a rehab facility in Florida, Boca Raton. It was called Watershed. And it was not designed for you to get better. I mean, there's just like, so there was like a 20, they have a 28-day like detox hold, and then you go to the IOP, right? So you go to these little houses and you go live and you go every single day. The Florida Shuffle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so where I went, it was called Watershed, and there were two, like I went with the older people, right? I went with the older crowd, but there were 2 different apartment complexes that they and the younger crowd, we would go visit at the younger crowd's like apartment complex from time to time, and their apartment was backed up against apartments where you could literally get dope from I mean, they were doing dope. There were people dying in the rehab. I walked into a girl shooting up in her neck. You know what I mean? Like it was
you saying that like kind of gave me chills because as bad as I wanted to get clean and I would drag my ass to a rehab, but I always snuck drugs in because I was so scared of being sick and going through the withdrawal. And I've died in a couple of rehabs. They actually found me in a bathroom. I was gone. I was purple and I had the door locked and they kicked the door in. They saved my life. And that was after just getting kicked out of another rehab for overdosing in my bedroom there. And both times I had my life saved. But it's just such a oxymoron how as bad as we want to get better, you just can't. Yeah. I don't know how else to explain it.
I know exactly. It's like these voices. Listen, I had one of those voices things were getting real intense for me. They've been real intense for me the past couple of weeks with my mother. Yes. And that voice was like, just take a Valium and give yourself a break. I'm like, no, I don't. Nope. I see you, fucker. I see you. I'm not taking, because it can be. Listen, I've got a slew of pharmaceuticals that belong to my mother here that it could be easy for me to just pop them. It was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do because I was coming off of Suboxone and I was detoxing off of opioids, and I had Oxycontin, oxycodone, freaking Valium, Ambien, all kinds of pharmaceuticals here that I could have just to get through all that. So
I'm proud of you. That's a tough one.
Fuck yeah,
you
it
know? Hey,
is.
'cause I all my life I worked in people's homes and stuff, and I hate to say this, but addiction makes us turn into thieves. And I would go through the medicine cabinet when I first got there, and if there was something in there, I was super happy. It was going to be a great day.
Yeah.
And that was just in the beginning, like all that stuff. Then those pills didn't work anymore. You know what I mean? Like you needed something stronger, like a perk 5 or 10. It ain't doing nothing for me. And it always reverted back to heroin,
Yeah.
which is no longer heroin. We all know it's all fentanyl and trank and all this other poison they put in it.
I got very, there was a piece of me that, yes, I've tried heroin a couple times, like, but there was just something inside of me that knew I could not go that route. I could not take that route because I would not come back. I liked to numb way too much.
Yeah.
I liked nodding it. Like I liked being numb,
Right.
but I knew if I got care, I tried it a few times. I even overdosed. Woke up in a hospital and it was fentanyl. It was, I think like 2017 or something. I'm very grateful that I decided to clean my act up when I did, because just like you mentioned, everything on the streets, it's not like it used to be. Used to be like, get a couple footballs, get this, get that. Every single fucking thing is pressed with fentanyl. Even marijuana, like I hear things about the marijuana, it really freaks me out,
Yeah.
not
It's
for
scary.
myself, but for everybody else out there,
Yeah. Well, and it's like I said, these kids, they don't get to experiment today.
No.
Their parents are finding them the next morning. And I feel like that should have been me so many times. And I think that's
Yeah,
part of why I do what I do.
but it obviously is not meant to be you, or it would have been, you know what I
Well,
mean?
thank
So,
God.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
do think maybe you could start you a podcast or whatever. You have a big voice.
Yeah.
You have
Right.
you're very empowering. Your energy is really good. Yeah.
I'm actually working on it, and I actually just spoke to the mayor and the district attorney in my town. I went to a law day thing, and I'm trying to start speaking in schools, and I would like to do it at my high school first. I went to Allen High School, so maybe these kids there will get something from this. I'm just trying to spread the word as much as possible, and hopefully a couple of lives get saved, and you know
That's
that's
great.
that's all.
I had a brain fart now. I had a question for you. Damn it. I
It's
hate
all
when
right.
that happens. Around what time? I find this so interesting because it seems to me, as many people as I kind of speak to, like about their journey, everybody's kind of saying around the same time that they kind of like just snapped. When did you kind of snap and were like, this ain't working? You know, uh, this isn't, because for me, I I wrecked cars. I was just like you said, I was in and out of jail. I was so chaotic for like 20 years straight, just ruining
Right,
everything I touched. It was horrendous. Then
right.
2019, I just had this massive spiritual awakening and something huge
Me
shifted because
too.
yeah. What was it, 2019?
It wasn't 2019.
Was
However,
it?
my mine came. I got arrested on Christmas Eve. I had overdosed in a laundromat, and the police were called. They didn't even know that I was in an overdose state. They actually charged me with resisting arrest because I was overdosed, and basically they dragged me to jail. And I I woke up on Christmas morning sicker than I think I've ever been in my life. And uh, basically they made me come out of the cell to go to the shower, and I crawled back to the cell and I just collapsed because I was so depleted. I hadn't eaten for probably weeks. I wasn't drinking any water. I was just shooting stuff in my veins, and basically they sent me out to the hospital for a couple days from the jail, which is they never do that. And I don't even remember those couple days in the hospital. That's how sick I was. But I woke up back in jail, and basically I got put in the hole for cheeking some meds, and it got worse and worse and worse, and it was so bad, and my I was coming off benzos too, and it got so bad I was literally suicidal in that cell in the hole. And, you know, this might sound crazy to people, but this is how far addiction will push us. I have friends that have committed suicide in prison while going through this sickness. And
Yeah.
I literally took a sheet and tied it up around the thing just to see. And my feet touched the floor. And I was like, man, this ain't working. So I literally was so out of my mind, and I was having like panic disorders and all kind of other crazy shit from coming off all this stuff. Um, I literally I jumped off of my bed onto my head and um, basically basically almost killed myself from a head injury. And they ended up, all the COs came in, medical staff, they put me in a bubble, a glass bubble, and at the end of it, like, you know, I literally was in that glass bubble by myself, and I started like begging God to take away the obsession for me to get high.
Mm.
And like, I'm about to tear up right now because I literally started singing. And I knew I was on camera. I knew these COs that knew me for all these years of in and out. Like, they knew I lost my mind. Like, I wasn't the same person anymore. And they saw it and they knew it. And they thought I was going to kill myself in there. And it was an attempt. But, you know, if I really wanted to do it, I would have made it finish the job, but I didn't. There was something inside me that was still holding on. And, you know, I didn't want to do that to my family. I didn't want them to get that call that, you know, their son had passed away in prison. They would have been like, what the fuck, all these years and all the shit that we've gone through. And because that's the place they think I'm safe. You know, they think
Yeah.
when I get
Yeah.
locked up, they're like, hoorah, we could sleep tonight. You know, we know
Oh,
he's
yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
And the reality is, though, folks, like, they criminalized addiction in the 90s, and basically we were made to be looked at as junky pieces of shit.
That's right. That's
And
right.
and it's not true. It's a disease, and it's a sickness, and it's a mental illness. And there's a lot more that comes with it. If people would realize and see the trauma that many, many addicts go through before they get to this point, um,
Mhm.
they would understand a little bit more instead of being so judgmental and saying, what a piece of shit, what a loser, look at that homeless bum. You know,
Yeah.
I used to hold the door at Wawa for people just to get a couple bucks, and like, I go there every morning for my coffee now, and I see the homeless people there asking for money, and I can't help but give it to them if I have it, because I know that feeling and the struggle so well, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh. Oh. Your heart. Yeah, I totally I blanked out again. I kept holding on to something that I wanted to say, and then I just
Well,
blanked out
it's
again.
okay, because, you know, take your time. Tell me.
Yeah, yeah. I completely forgot. It's okay. No, you're in very encouraging. You know what I mean? You're a very strong soul. You've been through a lot, and yes, you are definitely survived all of it so that you can speak for, and we do need to shift the judgment,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I know people don't want to come and speak their truth because it's their, I've had people reach out to me that were like, nobody knows, my family doesn't know, my husband doesn't know, you're the only person that knows, because they're so ashamed of being on the Suboxone. This is where I was going to go with this. I've been super obsessed recently about opioid use disorder, right? Like,
I
just
get it.
because
Yeah.
the more because the more and more people that I hear their testimonies, the more and more people I'm speaking to, so, and they're like, opioid use disorder, opioid use disorder. There's no disorder. There's no disorder. They're prescribing an addicting drug. We are getting addicted. So it's addicting. We're going to get addicted. There's no disorder. They create this disorder so they can give us the Suboxone or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Um, you said you did the Sublocade shot. Can
Yeah.
we can we get into that a little bit?
Sure.
How did that how did that work?
Okay, so I'm still on it. I've been on it for 5 months, and
Oh,
I just got my 5 month shot. My goal is to come off of it, and this is my reality, guys. Right? Like, so if the films destroyed my teeth, right, and I just had all my teeth pulled, and basically, I'm so lucky and blessed that I got get all new teeth, you
That's
know,
right.
like thank you God for that. My cousin and the dentist, and yay. But you know, I think to myself, if that shit destroyed my teeth like that, what the fuck is it doing inside my stomach to my organs? Like, you
Yeah.
know, so, but here's the thing for me, an addiction with me, it was always so crippling and hard for me to get off the shit. I had this fear of coming off Suboxone, and we know, guys, when we get into the rehab and we're sick as a dog, and we got like that 3 day window of feeling like you're gonna die, and now it's even longer with the poison out there. But you know, we have that window of time, and they're willing to give you something that's gonna make you feel better almost instantly. The human brain is not going to turn that down
That's right.
unless you've been through it before and you just know. And I had been through it before and I just knew. And when I decided to go on Suboxone, because I was still, it was a month later when I got from the jail to the rehab, exactly 30 days. And when I got to that rehab, and I knew I could get on it, I was still sick as a dog a month later. That's how bad the shit on the streets is now. It used to be a
Oh,
week, you feel a little better. That shit is poison. But and I made that choice to go on it. And then a little while later, a couple times, and this happened to me so many times, you can't fill your script or you can't get it or something goes wrong or the doctor didn't call it in or whatever. And basically you get screwed and you're going to be sick. And what does any good addict that's about to be sick do? They find a cure. If the cure isn't the Suboxone that you're supposed to be on, we'll find something to make ourselves feel better from that agonizing
right.
withdrawal.
Yeah,
You
you're in
know?
a state of fight or flight. You're not making rational decisions. You're not thinking. You're just like, whatever I can do to make myself feel better right now. So when you first got that injection, I just spoke to a friend of mine. She was actually on the show and she got her first Sublocade injection and she had some experiences that first day. So a couple of things.
Right.
Two people have mentioned the fact that they got that injection. It was pretty painful and that they were pretty freaking high. Were pretty high that first day from all of the, I guess, opiates or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that how you felt?
Well, for me, I was taking 16 milligrams of 2 films a day,
Right.
which is a lot, and we all
It
know
is.
that.
Yeah.
But it got me to the point where like I didn't feel it anymore. Like in the beginning, first day or two, you feel a little something, but then I didn't feel anything. And when I did go on the shot that first day, I felt a little bit extra energy or moving around, a little twitchy, you know, but I wasn't. I didn't feel like I was on dope high. I just kind of felt a little bit out of myself, you know?
Okay.
So,
And so let me just ask you this. At this point, you seem like you have really gone within and healed because you have found self-love, right?
yeah.
So for me, I same thing. I just went deep within. I started meditating every day. I just started finding love within myself. And then I was intuitively guided on how to get off the Suboxone.
Right.
Um, there was no urge to use anymore. I didn't have anything to mask. I was just physically stuck.
Right.
You is the urge for you, have the urges gone? The urges are gone. And now it's just this little physicality of this, or what's that look like for you, if you don't mind?
So this one gives me chills when I talk about it. But
Okay.
so when I was in the hole in prison and they put me in that glass bubble, um, you know, I was so lost, and as I was praying and begging God to take away the obsession from me, um, from that day forward, other than getting on the Suboxone in rehab, um, I have never yet felt like sticking a needle in my arm again. And this is after 30 years, guys, of destroying my life and my family and friends and friendships and everything that I had in life. I destroyed it because of this bullshit. But I haven't had. I don't know, man. They say prayers work, and I believe it because I prayed take that obsession away, and I haven't had it once since I came home.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. That's
it's
incredible.
miracles, man.
That's incredible. It's so interesting because the more people that I talked to, there was like some sort of a shift with people around like 2019, 2020, lots of people waking up, lots of spiritual awakenings, I've been doing this for 20 years and decided that's not fun no more.
Yeah.
So,
And you know, like it just I don't know. My doctor and my nurse, where I go to get my Suboxone, I truly believe that their heart is in the right place. They've known me my whole life. They have prescribed me this many times, but then they've also seen me many times homeless on the street, you know, junkied out, where like I couldn't get right, and you know, like this is like a two-sided coin, because I think a lot of people feel Suboxone is like this miracle drug, and in a way it can be. And then on the other side to that, like, look, it destroyed my whole teeth. It literally there's negative effects to it as well. I also feel as though my personality sometimes is a little different than it would be if I wouldn't be on the Suboxone. Like I get a little more riled up or whatever, or a little more angry over things. Like I can feel that stuff within me, you know. I know how I am with nothing in me, and I know how I feel medicated. And I want to get off all these meds. I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
Yeah, it's a process. It's because
Yes.
I went through chemotherapy back in 2018, and well, I mean, not that that was why, but it gave me more of a reason to be on more stuff, you know? So I was on Ambien, Suboxone, Adderall, and freaking Xanax. I was on all of that shit. I quit cold turkey, all that shit. I was bedridden for like 2 months. I went back onto Suboxone. I managed to beat the rest. I never really had withdrawals from all that other shit. The Adderall was challenging because it's hard to get that energy, you know? And so, but it's a process. It is a process. I started this journey, like, I think like 2019, 2020 is when I think it was like 2020 or 2021 when I finally was like, I'm done with the pills. And then it took me some years to you don't just stop and that's it. Like it takes some years to it's almost like you're just kind of reprogramming, rewiring, redoing. It's a heap of shit you got to undo.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's a heap of shit. So it's not, that's why the AA and the 12-step, listen, I respect whatever works for you, but this whole bullshit about my sober date, no, I just took some shrooms to go to the movies. I mean, if you want to say I'm not sober, that's fine. I'm drinking coffee. Okay. So
yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Right. And you know what? To be honest with you, like I went to meetings for so many years, and like I still have many, friends, many acquaintances from the rooms. But I've also saw the negative side of the rooms, and I don't want to bash NA or AA because like that's not what I'm here for. Whatever works for anybody, if it gets them clean, man, I'm 100% for it, and I'm praying for you. I just know after trying something for 30 years and it keeps not working, something's wrong. And you got to try another avenue. And that's one thing that I'm also advocating for, is to find other ways to help treat addiction other than one set. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days, go to a 12-step program, get a sponsor, tell them your whole life, and you will be fixed. Oof. No, that's not how the fuck it worked for me. I tried all that stuff so many times, and people would say maybe you just didn't have the will to do it then, or you just didn't want it enough. I don't know. There's been many times, man, where I just didn't want to be that guy anymore. And then I failed again, miserably, So.
Yeah. So let's see. I've been tapering off methadone for years, from 148 milligram to 40 milligram. It's a freaking nightmare, but I'm trying very hard. See, more power. I admire you. I don't know anything about methadone, but don't stop fighting. Oh, you do?
I've been on it. And basically, here was my thing. And this might sound crazy, but once I got on the methadone, my addiction is vicious. So I would go get a couple bundles after I would leave the methadone clinic, or sometimes I'd be on the bus to the methadone clinic, shooting up on the bus on the way there because I was so sick. So it did not work at all for me. And I begged my doctor to put me on that after I had overdosed 2 years ago and came out of coma and all that stuff. I begged him to put me on it because nothing else worked. The program wasn't working. Um, and and he did. And he put me on it. And my addiction picked up right where it had left off without the methadone. And then it was the same addiction, just add methadone. And then you need to get to the bus to get to the methadone clinic an hour away every morning. And it was a nightmare, you know.
Yeah.
Most times I was just struggling to even have enough money to get well that day. And sometimes I didn't have the money for the bus to get there. And even that, you know, if you look at yourself like homeless and looking like that and the way people look at us and like you feel like trash, you know, trying to
Yeah,
ask somebody
but
for a
you know
dollar
what?
for the bus, you know?
Right, but you know what? People in there look like, no, we're gonna let that shit go. People with their judgment. That's why we're doing this, right? That's
Yeah.
why we're doing this because we're spreading awareness. I share everything on both my personal page and Unveiling Addiction because anybody on my personal page is going to know
Hmm.
what's going on here. They're gonna
Yeah.
know, and then if
Yeah.
they want to judge me, then they can just keep on scrolling. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And you know what? If somebody's judgmental or whatever, like, hey, you know, I just kind of like ignore it because
that's right.
that's their own ignorance, you
That's
know.
right. That's
And here's the other thing to that too. Be careful, guys out there, the judgmental ones who want to judge. Sometimes, you know, I don't know if it's God or the devil has this uncanny way of letting you get to feel exactly the shit that you judge. So,
That's it.
you
Because they're
know,
judging something unhealed within themselves. That's what they're
yeah,
doing. They're judging something. When you are judging, there's something within you that needs to be healed. You really just need to take that finger and point it right back at yourself. So, so about the methadone, don't stop fighting. You say I've been tapering off methadone for years, 140. It's a nightmare. I know it's a nightmare, but I am telling you, it's a process and it's doable. All of these pharmaceuticals, you can come off of it. The most important thing for you to do is to just really, really spend time with yourself so that you develop an intuition. You strengthen your intuition because you will know what to do when you strengthen that intuition. So don't give up. It's a process. It's going to just take a little time. Just take it slow is the best thing I can say. That's what I did with Suboxone. I also have a question. Let's see. Jason said, let's see. He said, did he find Kratom helpful? I,
no.
okay. So I have my own personal experience with Kratom. What you don't?
I just think it's another avenue toward going downhill,
Right.
basically,
Okay.
because if it gives me any type of feeling that an opiate would give me, I'm going to want more.
So
And
this
then
is
kratom ain't enough anymore, you know?
So this is where things could be interesting because for me, Kratom helped. Kratom helped
Cool.
me get off of Suboxone. This is why
Okay.
but there's no right
Right.
or wrong.
Right.
There's
You're right.
not
You're right.
everybody's got to do what they got to do everybody's got to do what they got to do. And I respect all of it. Right. But
Yes.
I got a high quality Kratom. And what I did was I used it 3 times a day with orange juice. Once I came off of Suboxone and it helped. It can be a good, powerful tool if
Yes.
you use it the right way and you don't use it you're not using it to abuse it, you're using it to alleviate. And what
Yeah.
happened with me is it took me a couple of months for my body to get adjusted to the kratom.
Mhm.
And then I managed to get myself off the kratom, which was far easier.
Right.
So
Well,
that's my,
there's also another option that I'm just learning about too,
okay.
and I'm not trying to spread the word of this because I really don't know how it works or not. But I know now they're actually putting people to sleep for a couple days with opioid addiction, and then they wake them out of it and keep them in a hospitalized setting and try to get them better. But at least you get through that first couple of nightmarish days. But like I said, guys, my withdrawal lasted probably 6 months this
Yep.
time. I was still walking hunched over. My
Yep.
back was a mess. I had poisoned myself and broken a needle off in my arm. I almost lost my arm. And basically, yeah, man, it's just so much stuff, and so much pain and so much agony. And to be honest with everybody out there, I really feel like people that are using this stuff, they're not everybody, but a lot of us are not out there trying to get high and have a blast. We're trying to kill the pain. We're trying to numb something inside us that's so fucking broken, and we can't find the answer. So we annihilate ourselves with drugs, and then that's just what we know to take away the pain all the time.
Some people don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with the trauma. Some people weren't raised in the environment to understand these things, and we're not going to learn it in school.
Yeah.
So,
I can't expect somebody to know what it feels like to have their whole face blown apart and their whole body burned and skin ripped off their body in a gas explosion. I don't expect anybody to ever understand what that feels like, except maybe you, because you were burned, so you have an idea. But like, people don't understand, like, there's many of us out here that have been molested and abused as children, you know, and so many of us turn to drugs because you just want to numb that shit away. You know, it's different strokes for different folks, and so many different people are dealing with so much different types of pain and trauma. Stop judging people, like, for what? Take a look at yourself in the mirror, and if you're like perfectly Jesus, well then, you know, all right, then be judgmental. But come on, man, ain't nobody out there perfect. That's for damn sure.
right. Damn right. I love it. I love it. So we have, do you recommend switching to Suboxone or just keep tapering? So, you know, I would just keep tapering. For me personally, and what I have read with other people, I would not get on Suboxone. I've heard methadone is far easier to taper off of, but like, again, I said, I don't have any experience with methadone. And it's funny because a lot of people, this is where I would say I'm not a doctor. Yeah. Thank God for that. Right. So,
that methadone gets in your bones, and like, it literally, it's so hard to come off. They both are. I don't know.
I would just keep doing I would just keep tapering off of what you are going down off of right now. Don't change anything up. Just keep trying to bring it down. I mean, is that what have you tapered ever off of, what's it called?
Methadone.
Yeah.
I mean, here, my tapering off, it was usually getting kicked off the program for having too much other drugs in my system. So I never really got to taper off. They would cut me off and let me come in for like 1 or 2 more doses, and then I'd be done. And then just literally sick as a dog and right back to the dope. So
if we ever seen each other in rehabs, we would have probably gotten into some trouble.
Probably right.
We would have probably gotten into some trouble for sure. Yeah.
God, you know, I regret all those things, you know, sneaking the drugs in there, whatever. But you know, when I really look at my life, like, I am so freaking grateful for all the people that like just stopped whatever they were doing to save my life. Like, it is such a blessing that I'm still breathing, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, everybody. Jeez.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. I love it. Oh, well, I'm so glad that you came on today, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Is there anything that you want to tell people? And you have my number now, so if you have any questions, I don't know a lot about what podcasting, like, I just got started, but I can help in any way that I can. I will, because you definitely have a story to tell. You definitely have energy where you are encouraging, you are inspiring. Are you on my Facebook page?
I don't know, but I think I might be.
I wish you would be, because you are the type of person that people need to hear from. People need to hear it's possible. People need to hear that battle, that fight. There are a slew of people. If you go in my Facebook, people are on our Facebook page. They're fighting. They're trying to come off of this stuff, and they're all helping each other navigate it. I even find people that have already come off of it successfully to come on over there and inspire somebody else. So you definitely should join.
Yeah, well, okay. So I did start a TikTok about the opioid epidemic. My name is the @ symbol and then my full name, Travis, Eroh.
Okay.
And basically, I will be starting up on Facebook too, and I'm going to start going live more often. And basically, I just want to tell people out there, if you're struggling, if I can do this, I swear to God, anybody on this planet can do this. I spent 30 years of my life banging my head, and living in degradation and sickness, and I'm finally at a point. I got 20 months today, guys. This is truly a miracle. I should not be breathing, but God saw fit for me to be. So I'm going to try to help the next suffering person that's going through what I once went through. And the comments on here, guys, I don't want to see anyone suffer like I did, man. It is a nightmare and it's hell. So keep watching us, guys. We try to help anybody out there. I love you all, friends. Thank you.
All right.
And
Yeah.
thank you too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, not a problem. I'm honored. I'm honored to do it. So let's see. Unrelated, Jason. Unrelated. This is the only place I feel comfortable sharing this. I love that. Just reading that alone makes
Super.
my whole
That's
heart
cool.
full. So beautiful. But just had to say today makes 2 years clean from 20 years of everything. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yes, baby.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Proud of you.
I do the THC too. And I do the shrooms too. It's all from the earth. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. So
yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Travis. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I really appreciate everybody being here. And y'all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. We'll see you soon.
Too. Hey, we'll talk.